podcast because we have Dr. Eli Barkov from Nabius coming to join us. He is the global head for healthcare and life sciences at Nabius, and they're really pushing the more important life sciences as well. We're going to go ahead. So, Nabius is essentially a global company based out of France. It is already on NASDAQ, 8 billion in revenue, massive company. And then for us, it is important as founders to understand that there are only not three cloud providers, basically Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud, but you can get GPU services sometimes better and cheaper from other providers as well. We have evaluated them. We will be hopefully working with them as our needs improve in Save Life AI as well. But I just wanted to make sure that you understand that there are more options, and clearly there are companies who are providing this. And then Dr. Burkov is going to talk more about it in the future. I just want to give a shout out to IFIGO, who actually featured all of us in our Signals and Symptoms podcast. Is one of the core benefit to if you're starting your healthcare AI journey. You need to review them. Again, we're going to go ahead with updates of this week and then move forward. Of course, the big announcement was that ChatGPT introduces ChatGPT Health. This is a consumer product, not a B2B product. For example, for physicians, etc. They are saying that it is built for physicians, but main core idea is that you connect your healthcare data, your Apple data, and all of that into the chat gpt and ask questions about it. They have done a significant amount of information over here, and they say that 5% of chat gpt questions are all about healthcare. They're really pushing into this, and then they did a clinical study which we will be linking in our show notes, that how it is important. Of course, similarly, Anthropic released Claude for healthcare as well. They actually do provide some more benchmarks as compared to how it is better, etc. Again, if you look at from the surface, it is more geared towards you know uh, individual patients, but they do have two important things that they have marked out. One is actually prior authorization review, so you can actually create, physicians can do a prior authorization review. They do create tools that you can directly connect with clinical data or research data if you want to. So this is making it again easier for anyone to get into the space and move faster. They also introduced Cloud Code. I don't know, Harvey, have you tried it? But I am super impressed
No,
by it.
I've heard
It
really good
is
stuff about
amazing.
it.
Oh my God. I'm not going to change my screen right now, but honestly, my workflow has changed after this release. And I've been using Claude for work, coworker, and basically creating agents sit there. It starts working. I come back after an hour or so and then review and everything. So insane. Again, good news for healthcare companies. OpenAI, while announcing they actually, basically bought a startup called Torch for $60 million. Insane. This is only 1.5 million, 18-month-old startup. As you can see, for us, Save Live AI Radiology is going to become a very good target in the future as well. FDA launched two programs. One is Tempo. The one is going to be another one, and they have actually basically trying to expand access to chronic disease technologies which are digital health focused. And what we are seeing is that since AI, again, OpenAI and Cloud Code is going through this, you're going to see a lot of stuff going through. Let me push this to the next week so I can make you understand. Again, China is insane in terms of releasing models. LTX2 model has been released, and by the way, I looked at it. Results are insanely good as Google's Veo 2 release. So quite impressed by this complete open source model for video generation coming out of China. NVIDIA announced Alpamayo family of open source AI models, tools to accelerate safe reasoning, autonomous vehicle development. And again, NVIDIA is, as OpenAI and Claude are pushing into healthcare, NVIDIA is now pushing into basically open source vehicle development. And I haven't tried it. Of course, I'm not into vehicle development, but it is insane that they have created a complete family of models for open source. Just to FYI, the way that they're doing what we call real time object detection, we are now implementing same in radiology. By the way, it can be implemented in pathology, which is not out of scope for us. They also announced Ruben, just again a reminder, and I think Dr. Barkov is going to be able to talk about it more intelligently than I would, is that how H100 to B100 and what would be the future when this platform gets released. Again, significant improvement both in electricity consumption and cooling benefits that I was impressed by. this is something that Harvey, you want to chat about, because this is a paper that truly insanely important, a multimodal sleep foundation model for disease prediction. And they use PSGs trained on so many data and accurately this. Harvey, how can you uh, teach me?
Yeah, so it was so basically Fox News called me to see if I wanted to cover this, and it was quite interesting. University of Stanford rather, looked at this AI model, and what's really cool is they took over 600,000 hours of sleep data. And when I so when I say sleep data, they looked at everything. They looked at your EKGs, they looked at your muscle, and your EEGs, and basically we were able to create an algorithm that, according to them, predicts over 130 future health diseases, which is crazy. So things like dementia, more MIs, heart failure, but just one night of sleep. So it was kind of interesting in that now I'm kind of got a little FOMO, like I want to check that model out and see it, if it is that accurate. But yeah, definitely check out. We'll put the link to this article in the notes, and I'll be posting this in about an hour on my LinkedIn.
This is so beautifully interesting way of understanding how AI is producing outcomes and benefits that we had never thought of. I mean, thanks to Harvey, I'm using now sleep measurements more because I can wear this watch overnight, and I'm actually now officially tracking my sleep. But insane new benefits, and again, Navius is one of those places that they have launched. I'm going to show you what they have launched and go through that. This is again a very interesting that robotics in AI that literally can actually draw phlebotomy automated. Again, very interesting that how different startups are doing already implemented in Europe. The worst hacks of 2025. This is an important read. One of the things that I learned was not about ransomware. That was very interesting because ransomware was not important. They wanted to show that you can kill that particular company's time. And while, let's say, the supply chain is affected through hacks, the whole company that is actually going to make, from those companies, like this cup. So if the straw company is gone, the whole company that is making this whole thing is wasting time. So essentially, it was a very interesting read how things are moving in terms of hacking and everything. Mark Zuckerberg announced that they're going to launch Meta Compute. This is again infrastructure play. And again, we're seeing that we have been thinking that, okay, there's a AI bubble, AI bubble, AI bubble, but believe it or not, and we know this, and then Harvey Castro is actually, advisor to Phantom Space that is launching, data centers in space. We need so much more infrastructure to support what we are trying to do. Google actually released MedGemma 1.5. I haven't tested it. Once I do, I will actually go ahead and show you. And then, of course, we wanted to talk about CRISPR GPT, which is essentially also one of the models that was released by Stanford. And more importantly, it is on Navius. And then how gene editing and drug discovery is changing the whole landscape for building new solutions from biologics to new drugs and everything. And of course, Dr. Burkhoff is going to talk more about it in this session as well. So just so that Nabius is interesting company, amazing, fantastic, but more importantly, his own journey is very amazing from microscope to server room. So, Dr. Burkhoff, again, extremely grateful. I know I have not done a proper introduction for you. Can you tell us about yourself and what your journey has been, all the way from microscopy or being in the lab to becoming basically a server in Nabius?
Yeah, thank you, Junaid. And Harvey, lovely to be here. I bookmarked a couple of those links that you shared. I'm going to have to go back and read some of them. Very interesting. Yeah, so my name is Dr. Ilya Burkhoff. I'm the global head of healthcare and life sciences. I lead the healthcare and life science vertical at Nebius. I'm based in the UK. I've been leading the vertical for about 1.5 years now. I joined with over 15 years of experience within healthcare, life science, and business. I came in as a subject matter expert, basically speaking the language of the scientists and the clinicians, together with the business and the hardware side of things. Before Nebius, I spent about 3 years at AWS Cloud Services, which is a great experience in generic cloud, and they were pioneers for a lot of what the industry is doing these days. And I'm very grateful for my time there. But here we're building something far more fast-moving and fast-paced and very, very exciting. Early in my career, I worked in the NHS, the National Healthcare System in the UK. Worked in the orthopedics side of things. Did some research as well on biomarker identification for early disease onsets. In particular, looking at osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, degenerative diseases that require hip replacements, knee replacements, total joint replacements. So if we can catch them early, if we can identify them with imaging and machine learning, as it was at the time, now everything is AI, labeled AI, but it is model building, machine learning, computer science at its core. And before that, I worked in regenerative medicine and also dabbled in some biomedical engineering as well. And what I love the most about my work and what I'm doing today is bridging the world of biology, the data, and the cutting edge AI infrastructure that's helping biotech and healthcare teams really accelerate the discovery that they're doing, streamline the R&D processes, and bring new therapies to patients much faster. So instead of working on a community level, I'm working on a global scale where I'm making an impact on the healthcare system and on people's lives at AI level speeds. So very, very fast. And yeah, very excited to be here. I'll tell you a little bit about Nebius if that's what you want me to do next.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for making this story as far as entrepreneurship goes. This is amazing what you have done from NHS to Amazon to now Nebius, and fascinating. And then, of course, every time we're building something, anytime I'm talking to any entrepreneurs, it is actually cross-section because AI is a general purpose technology. And then working for a startup is always nice because it's you're not a startup, but either way, a more dedicated company towards it is actually always nice because you can do fast-paced stuff that you want to do, and then more importantly, people like me, I'm a neurointensivist, basically a neurology physician building another company, is that these domain expertise can actually really help you to scale. Like what Dr. Burkhoff was saying is that it's not just about having this problem, is also scaling it beautifully. Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Burkhoff. Give us an introduction of what Nebius does, how does it do it, etc. And I'm really impressed by just 1 second. My good friend Dr. Harvey Castro is having some technical issues. Give it 1 second. There you go, boss. I cannot run this show without you, man. Okay, so some technical issues are coming. He's actually traveling in Arizona. Anyway, so Dr. Burkhoff, tell me about Nebius, and feel free to share any slides or anything that you need to show. I'm happy to learn personally more about it too.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And based on your experience and your background, as you know, a lot of what is done in AI is based on neural networks. So understanding how the brain works and functions is key to a lot of what is being done in AI. But yeah, going to Nebius. Nebius is an AI-powered cloud platform, which is vertical agnostic. So we work across robotics, fintech, media and entertainment, and of course, life sciences and healthcare, which is my bread and butter and what I'm really enjoying. But we are essentially helping with drug discovery, genomics, and health tech, amongst other things. As a company, it uses NVIDIA GPUs for a lot faster diagnostics, a lot faster research and therapy development. The technology that they've been able to create is mind-boggling because it accelerates so many things that we do. And Nebius makes it easy for organizations to basically build tune and deploy AI models that they're working on to the next level, making it as easy as possible to do with as little hands-on as necessary, because they don't need to manage the hardware themselves. Everything is done in the cloud very quickly, very efficiently, and safe. So Nebius itself is headquartered in Amsterdam. It is now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you said Paris. We have a data center in Paris, but yeah, we're headquartered in Amsterdam. It's a Nasdaq listed company. Again, it is a startup, but quite a unique position, because we have a global footprint. We are Nasdaq listed. We're building one of the world's leading AI-centric cloud platforms. We have data centers around Europe. We have data centers in the US, and we're building constantly. And this year is going to be a massive year for us in terms of growth and development. For me personally, our mission is to power the next wave of healthcare breakthroughs with top-of-the-range NVIDIA GPUs and a platform that is cloud native, a platform that lets innovators focus on curing diseases and not managing the servers, not managing all the architecture, and not thinking about the power supplies and so on. We started with data centers in Europe and the US, and arguably now we're leading a lot of the front of innovation when it comes to a full stack cloud solution. So there are labels out there known as hyperscalers and others that are known as neoclouds. And I think we're quite comfortably somewhere in the middle, where we not only offer the bare metal cloud compute, we offer a software layer on top, all of the orchestration tools, the support, the expertise that many of the traditional neoclouds do not offer, because they've come from maybe a Bitcoin mining environment, transitioned into how else can we use. So that's where we position ourselves.
Yeah. So let me explain this. Like, I'm a founder, right? I don't want to deal with figuring out where to put the GPUs and everything.
Of course.
It's not my problem. My problem is to solve real issues in life, right?
Exactly.
So Nebius, so what's the difference between AWS and GCP, and why did I go after Nebius and call them and everything? Because of course my regular quote unquote application is going to sit in GCP or whatever that case may be, or sometimes using their foundation model. But quite frankly, when I am actually in this situation, like for example this one, and this is Dr. Barkov is going to talk about next, is CRISPR GPT. I want to go from wet lab to dry lab and find out where the problem is, and then go into the wet lab to really hone into where my problems are, saving me significant amount of time. And not to mention that we're going to first talk about the CRISPR GPT and all of that, and then hopefully he's going to talk about this. But before I start, I just want to go back to Dr. Barkov and ask him about this platform first, and whatever you can say. Of course, there's a lot of trade secrets that you cannot share, but the idea is that if you can share that from the transition from H100 to B100, which to be honest with you is not in production. I don't know what the hell is going to happen when Rubin is going to come online.
Yeah, so I mean, every generation of technology brings some new innovation, and what they are doing is essentially accelerating that, creating more RAM, creating more power, and more connectivity. So every generation that you saw moving from the H series to the Blackwell generation and into Vera Rubin and others brings you more compute. Less power is needed to run it, but at the same time, some of the top of the range Blackwell GPUs require a whole new architecture system where you now require liquid cooling to keep that temperature down when you're talking about data centers, and that brings in a whole new level of compute. And you can read about all the technical details, and we won't go into that here, but basically newer is better. Newer is more powerful, like with your devices that you have on your phone. Every few years you get an update and so on. You can do what you normally used to being able to do, but quicker, faster, and more intense. That doesn't mean that the other GPUs are no longer useful. It's just that if you want to work quicker, and get your results iterated quicker, you can do it on a larger scale with a newer chipsets.
I'm going to just again remind you that GROQ, not K, has a perpetual license deal with NVIDIA. Essentially, it's a freaking takeover bought up, but they don't want to respond to SEC. So this is a new way of acquiring companies. But at the end of the day, NVIDIA is actually jumping into what we call LPUs, mainly configured for inference speed. Before I jump into with my questions, Harvey, thoughts on H100, 200, Grok acquired by NVIDIA, and then Rubin platform, et cetera, and of course, more importantly, your amazing Phantom space.
Yeah, so I was at CES and I got to hear AMD's presentation, and big picture, it's exactly what the doc just told us. The chips are getting faster, better, less power. And why does that matter? You know, I look at it from a microscope point of view. If I can start doing things because I can run them in a smaller model or on my device, then there's more things I can do. Looking at it from space, I'm really excited because now the ability to have these data centers, this is something that that's new. You know, like you talked about Grok, the one with the Q. This isn't official from Phantom at all, but this is my personal thoughts is if we can put those chips on the satellite and create that lag time to be less, plus having those chips where it's already, the data's already up there and can process that much faster, then in healthcare, how many applications can we do? Can we literally save lives? And the answer in my mind is yes. Think of Starlink, plus everything you know about AI, and then making it super fast, and then putting it literally in the cloud, in the space, how that could change. And then did we just lose our guest?
I think Riverside is giving me a lot of grief today. For some reason, my network is doing fine. Ruth, are we having issues on your side?
No, not from my side. I have actually good connection. So I'm just wondering if Ilya had a problem.
Maybe he had an issue. I know for me
Yeah, let me
personally,
just-
I had to switch over to my phone because the internet for the hotel here in Arizona is really bad. So I was like, you know what, let me just switch.
Yeah, and usually Riverside takes a lot of power, but I think he's coming back. Is he?
I think so.
No,
Maybe not.
let me just ping him.
If not, we can
Okay.
keep going while he comes back.
Yeah. So now, of course, we want the CRISPR GPT is extremely important that we want Nabius to be actually part and parcel and make you understand. But I just want to talk about one of the key areas in which natural language processing is going to be part and parcel of drug development. And more importantly, when we talk about CRISPR GPT, it is going to be more about, you know, essentially making biologics. So we have seen this. And then one of the key benefits of AlphaFold, I don't know if you guys know this, AlphaFold was released by Google, and that actually created one of the, and they made it open source. So while they made it open source, they were able to see that how you can predict how proteins are going to behave. And that is such a hard problem to solve. And once we know that we can know which proteins to interact with at the level of the RNA and the protein formation, you can really design drugs much, much faster. So we used to have at least 15 years. Actually, the average time was 15 years. It goes up to 19 years. And the average cost was $2 to $3 billion to develop one product, while there was a 90% failure rate. So Harvey, what are your thoughts with companies like Nabius who are finally concentrating on bringing that technology into our hands so we can actually do this to accelerate significant amount of improvement in drug discovery? So your thoughts on because you read this a lot more than I do, so
Yeah, no, this is huge. This is why they got the Nobel Prize for this particular product. Because think of the impact that it did on humanity. Think how if you are now able to know what we don't know, and my favorite phrase is work backwards and know what that molecule that we're trying to pinpoint is, and then reverse engineer it to the point where we actually now create that key lock effect. For example, if I want to create a certain effect, those drugs are literally sending messages and those proteins are being turned on or off. And that's literally how this drug works. Here's where I want to take this. If we can use this technology, and you just saw those numbers, 2 to 3 billion, and cut the cost down to, let's just say, 100 million and 200 million. And I know that sounds crazy, but what happens is two things. One, that opens the door to personalized medicine. That opens the ability for all of us listening. How can that medication be different for me? Everyone listening, if we pretend we all had hypertension and we all were on the same drug, not all of us need the same dose. But if the manufacturer only makes certain types of dose, we have to force our bodies into those doses. But if I have this type of medication where I can design it specifically for you and I can create the medicine for you, now I'm creating personalized medicine, and this technology will get us there.
Beautifully well said. And again, I just want to emphasize this, that of course you can have AWS and you have other things, and they are general purpose clouds and they are fascinating products. Don't get me wrong, we use it all the time. Companies like Nabius, when they actually have in-house experts, they can help people people to actually go ahead and be able to also teach and learn. Because you have to understand that as a physician, it took me a while to understand technology, and there's just so many facets, right? Infrastructure is separate, cloud is separate, all of this is separate, and then API based programming, and then understanding and translating with my development team to understand how we're going to use these. Companies like Nabius can actually help take that portion away, in the sense that you guys can create more personalized approach to just making sure. And believe it or not, he is so right that once you see the system approach, which is basically when I'm saying that I want to save 1 billion lives, I want to create one drug or one biologic, you will be able to actually not only experiment with multiple phases of biologics of the same sort of variation, but prescribe the right one to the right patient, creating decreased side effects and increased impact. So it is fairly important that we go ahead. I'm going to do a tech check right now. Ruth, Teresa,
Yeah,
were you able to get
thanks.
him online? What's going on? Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I just Ilya has connection and he has internet, but he's saying that has issues with Riverside, so he's uploading the whole
Okay.
program again. So hoping he can
no worries.
get back in. Yeah, apparently it's with the program.
No worries at all. We're gonna wait for him. I'm just gonna, in the meanwhile, I want to show my good friend that how I am using some of these tools a little differently, because things, again, so fast changing. I mean, it is kind of insane. So this was your regular chat, right, on Claude Code, which you're talking, and then we have all of this. Then we have the code, which is actually, this is really where my coding goes in. I'm not going to show exactly open up. You can select a local folder and local and everything. And they just introduce cowork. So the benefit of the cowork is, again, I can set up my, exact folder that I want to go through this, which gives me ability to add the context on it, and then also put the results directly in it, Harvey. So the beauty comes in that when I'm actually looking at these, like, for example, I was actually working on this, this episode, and I wanted to understand about this episode, and of course we're going to use AI for it. It made my life more easier, because everything is now organized on my computer perfectly as well. So, for example, why it matters, why this CRISPR gene system design, everything is important. And then what is the Nabius role in CRISPR? All of this becomes so much faster and easier. For example, I was talking about this alpha protein. This literally, all of this documentation was that I uploaded into a folder all the PDFs and everything. And then it just asked them, okay, what is this? What is this? What is this? And it created the whole brief for me, while I uploaded all of that into my notebook LLM to actually ensure this is going on. Um, uh, so just to keep going, in the meanwhile, it seems like we really have to figure this out. Then I think he can join Ruth from the cell phone too, because I believe.
He's
That's what I did.
trying. Yeah, he's
Yeah, I'm
actually
so sorry.
trying to do that from his cell phone now. Yeah, so strange.
So
He's
in the meanwhile, Harvey, what are your thoughts on this ChatGPT?
So I feel blessed that in 22 I wrote the first book on ChatGPT healthcare, and that was released. And back then I was buying a bunch of domains, and one of the ones that I bought was chatgpthealth.com. What I think about this is twofold. Number one, it's a product. It's a double-edged sword, because if you think about it, AI is ChatGPT specifically is getting 40 million healthcare hits a day. So what they did is they're adding your personal data, your wearables, ways of connecting your Apple Health, for example, to ChatGPT, and then you can ask it. Now, from a consumer point of view, that's great, but my worry is huge in that, how was this data evaluated? Is this validated? Is this thing hallucinating? Because us physicians, that's great. We can play with this, know if it's hallucinating or not, know if it applies to us. But the normal individual out there may not have a medical degree, may know certain parts of medicine. And so I worry so much about it. And I look at it from a governance point of view. So I created the website to focus on governance, to show healthcare professionals and patients, how can we use this technology? And so I launched this site, and I'm going to be updating it here in the next couple of weeks to make it more advanced. But overall, it's interesting because healthcare now has all these companies working with OpenAI. And now that ChatGPT Health exists, there's even more companies coming on board, healthcare companies. But I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of the chatter on different social media platforms, and I'm seeing mixed reviews on this. I had a friend of mine show me his access and have the tool used, and he was putting basic questions, and it was not able to pull his Apple Health really well. He's a cyclist, and it kept pulling his cycling data, not all of his health. So it was kind of interesting to see that, yes, it's connected, but it really wasn't working the way at least for him, it was, not connected correctly, or maybe it's just not working the way it should. Have you played with it yet, Doc? All right.
okay.
Not no worries.
So now
Go
we
ahead.
lost Junaid. Ilya actually just asked me if we could meet in Zoom and maybe record this over video, or would it make sense to reschedule the whole thing back again?
Janae, what do you want to do? I'm fine if you want to connect on Zoom.
I just sent the link in the chat.
Yeah, as long as, I would imagine, as long as we can record it is the main thing.
Yeah.
Here, let me copy that link in case he got kicked off, and then we can, let me see if I can drop it in the WhatsApp.
And
that way,
especially when we were talking about genomics, then it got kicked out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah, and then the main thing is the video, and I think we're trying to get this on my LinkedIn Live. I'm not sure if we were able to anyway, so it may not matter. So yeah, let me text him directly. Let's see, but he's pretty good about this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea.
Okay, I just gave Ilya the Zoom link, so maybe we just meet there.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
And, all right, I'll see you there.
I'll see you there.